Retail workers of Reddit, what is the most desperate scam a customer has tried to pull on you? I used to work at a game store a little more than 10 years ago. Once had a woman come in dressed fairly trendy and ask for 2 PlayStation portables, PSP, 2 Xbox 360s, and a handful of games and accessories. My store was pretty slow, so this would be a pretty big sale for the day and I was excited about it. She goes to pay and hands me a credit card which was not laminated and appeared to be printed out on a home color printer. I told her it wouldn't work and she said just scan it anyway. So I scanned her fake credit card which clearly did not have a magnetic strip and it didn't work, of course. She told me to just put the numbers in on the computer. I refused and she asked why, seemingly legitimately confused. I told her I just couldn't. She told me she would be back with cash. I put everything back on the shelves. She did not return. The 12th of September, 2001, USA. A guy in Spartanburg, South Carolina calls and says that his weed trimmer was in the Twin Towers in NYC the day before and got destroyed by terrorists, and demanded I replace it under warranty. I've heard that at least one divorce came out of the attack. The guy worked in one of the towers and his wife called in terrified asking where he was and he said I'm at work when he was in fact with his mistress. He wasn't aware that his work didn't exist anymore. Years ago I worked at a small hardware store where they were constantly getting huge rolls of copper wire stolen. One day this guy and his girlfriend come in to return a roll. I was a few months in on the returns counter. They had no receipt and when I scanned the item for the return it was only doing the price per foot. I couldn't figure out how to get the score the price for the whole roll. Called the manager and he comes out and right away knows there's no way these people bought a roll and returned it. So he asks when they bought it and they say 2 weeks ago, the common response. And my manager tells them oh really because the last time we sold an entire roll was over 3 months ago. The guy starts to get brave and tells him so you're saying I stole it, and my manager says yes. They end up leaving and left the roll behind. Before they leave the store the guy says I'm coming back and bringing the cops. Manager says go ahead, that way you can explain to them how you stole the roll. You're supposed to bring it to the recycling plants. Kids these days don't know how to salvage their thefts. Lots of people keep telling me the failsafes recycling plants put into effect in their area. I know some places require ID licenses etc and pay in checks or take pictures. Not all of them do. This comment was simply a joke and I do not condone theft. Sold a guy a phone years ago when I worked for a wireless carrier. Spent an hour getting all his information transferred and set up his new phone. He comes in the next day with a shattered screen. Apparently he didn't remember that I was the rep who helped him and proceeded to tell me that is how it looked when he left the store. Needless to say the phone was not replaced. A woman came in, grabbed an herb roasted rotisserie chicken, moseyed over to the casual seating, ate 85% of it with her bare hands, then brought the carcass to customer service and tried to return it. We had some members of the traveling community pull into our car park one summer. Guy comes to the till to buy 2 patio kits at £50 each. I tell him the total is £100 and he says he bought one for £50 the day before in another branch. I say yes but you're buying 2 so it's doubled. He then starts to argue that I'm overcharging him. This went on for 10 minutes with me explaining that he's buying 2 so it's more expensive than 1. His entire plan was to attempt to hold up the queue to a point where I'd give him 1 for free by acting like a dumb frick. Once he realized the queue had disappeared, you know, due to it being a freaking huge DIY store with multiple cashiers, he suddenly clicked and paid up, never to be seen again. Had a customer return a vacuum cleaner once. My supervisor did the return thankfully. The box went back on the floor unchecked. The next customer who wanted to buy it checked it out before they went to the register. The whole freaking thing had been replaced with a catering sized tin of beetroot. Idiot comes in with a coupon for a free iPod. Fine print says guaranteed and payable by Bill Gates. I asked why would Bill Gates guarantee an Apple product. Idiot left. That's almost as good as the guy with the giant photocopy of his ID, with the real ID number replaced with a badly handwritten number. He was trying to open a new cell phone account and get a fistful of lines with free phones. I stopped at telling him I can't accept copies of IDs and said if I have to tell you what else is wrong here, I'll have to call the police. We don't deliver the pizzas we make. It's carrot out only. Had a customer call and have a long angry conversation with me because I wouldn't deliver to her. She proceeds to say, a couple times, "You must be new here. I know the owner personally," to which I responded, "Well, I'm the owner's daughter and we don't deliver." Kmart returns counter. Had a guy try to return a CD with receipt. The shrink wrap had been sliced and the CD taken out. He claimed it was like that when he bought it. I told him I couldn't return it for cash but could swap it for the same thing. He went to get a new CD and brought some other artist. Told him it had to be the exact same thing. I had the electronics employee bring up the right CD. As I checked that they were the same and told him I would give him a new one, a smile grew on his face, which quickly melted away when I took out a knife and cut open the plastic on the CD. No, you can't return that one later. Another scammer that I actually caught was this guy who was paralyzed on the left half of his body. He walked slowly around the store, dropping stuff and drooling. Never did find out if he was actually paralyzed or just part of the scam. One day I caught him bagging OxyClean in his cart, notified LP and she watched him. He went through self-checkout and told me he bought the OxyClean in electronics. LP called electronics. No such sale was made. I think she let him go that time, but the next time he came in, he got a police escort. This one was an insider job. This guy who worked in electronics also did layaway. One of the service desk girls would put a giant bag of dog food in layaway. Then the electronics guy would empty the bag and fill it with expensive electronics. Turns out they had been getting away with this for years. Then the LP staff changed and the new lady knew how to police the place. We had to start taking the film off exchanged games, movies, and CDs because of scammers. Boy did they get pee when we told them we can't refund or exchange for something different by law though, haha. One of them even threatened my co-worker's life over a game. A guy comes in to fill his son's Adderall script. Guy is super twitchy and son is chill as could be. For all controls we are supposed to run a report that shows everywhere in the state they have filled any. Of course the report is a mess. Multiple pharmacies, multiple scripts, multiple doctors, all the red flags. To top it off, an Adderall script within that week had been filled, so we really couldn't fill this one. Dad comes back, we tell him that we can't fill it and dad starts going on about how his wife must have filled it but they need some for today, blah blah blah. We decline and his last words to us are, "My son needs them for a birthday he has to go to today, can't you help?" No dude, we can't help. You're clearly taking your son's pills. Get help and stop using your son to get high on prescription drugs. Years ago I worked at a Walmart and this guy comes in trying to return his Wii that doesn't work. I just bought this for my kids last week and it's already broken, but they won't take it back because I lost my receipt. The Wii in question was the most beat up and disgusting looking GameCube I had ever seen. Like he found it in a landfill or something. I should also point out that I wasn't working the return desk or even a cashier. I was stocking the food department. Turns out he was trying to talk every employee in the store into either giving him a refund or a Wii. Just yesterday I had a till tapper quick change artist try to money shuffle me for what would have been a grand sum of $5. Pee him off when I wouldn't play his game. Next best was someone calling wanting to know if we had spare empty boxes for Xbox consoles, because he wanted to prank his kid and give him an empty box. I know very well he wanted to try to stuff the box with who knows what and attempt a return. Of course, the folks at customer service check such boxes for actual product and match serials to those on the box. I work at a major cell phone retailer. I once had a man come in with his wife to do an upgrade to whatever the new iPhone was at that time. While they were sitting in the store working with one of my reps, I was in management at the time, the wife starts getting text messages from someone claiming to be her husband's mistress. This did not go over well. They took it outside before it got overly nasty, and we all assumed they were gone for good. Not so. The husband comes back in, alone. He finishes upgrading his phone, priorities, and left. The very next day he tried to return the phone claiming that we had sold him one with screen damage. He brings it in, and it looks like someone took a diamond ring or something to the screen and scratched the heck out of it. Now we have a strict open the box and hand it to the customer before they leave policy to avoid these situations. I was able to pull tape, show the customer where he held the phone for a good 5 minutes without pointing out any flaws, and tell him that my company offers no warranty on that brand even if it's bad out of the box. And especially when he didn't show it to us before leaving the store, I suggested he take it up with the manufacturer if he truly believed the phone was damaged out of the box. He did. Right there in the store he called them. They also told him to kick rocks. The best part? I was new to management, so I didn't have a manager name tag yet. He asked to speak to the manager and I got to give him my best evil grin and say I am the manager. He left after that and we never saw him again. Look at me. I am the manager now. A customer brought back a jumpsuit for a refund because it had crap in it. Apparently it had been like that when she bought it. It stank so bad that you could smell it through the taped up plastic bags that she had put it in. The levels of how impossible that would have been to be unnoticed by changing room staff, to then be put on the shop floor, to then be picked up by the customer, to being bought via a cashier still unnoticed. The worst part is some idiot on the refunds counter downstairs actually accepted it and put it on top of the trolley full of other returned items for us to put back upstairs, complete with a note stapled to it that said warning. Feces inside. One of the bigger WTF moments I've had in any job that I've worked. I used to work at Best Buy. This guy came in and returned a laptop saying that the box had some old laptop in it. He was yelling and screaming that we don't know how to do business. Manager gave him full refund. We started to check that old laptop he brought in. It won't turn on. Looks like the motherboard was toast. We pulled the hard drive out and started checking the data. Hard drive was completely fine with everything on it. We started looking for the clues and found the pictures of the guy who returned the laptop. It was his old machine. We had all his info. Manager called him and said he has 15 minutes to bring the new laptop back or he is calling police. That guy came in, dropped the laptop at front desk. Never saw him again in the store. The benefits of working in a store that specializes in electronics. Real hard scamming the people who can check your hard drive. I had a customer come to purchase some stuff, and they had found a coupon from 3 years ago on Google Images for 50% off whole purchase. I told her I can't do that, and the only one we had going at the time was not viable for her purchase. She yelled stupid loud, stormed out cursing, and I felt good. She emailed corporate, and I got in trouble for making her upset. I once had a lady come in and try to price match an ad that looked faded and had weird graphics. I told her I needed to see the date on it and she got mad. Turns out it was faded and had weird graphics because it was over a decade old. She threatened to sue my manager and I for discrimination, and then for trashing her antique because we threw the ad out. I don't miss retail. At my old job, they used to have sales pretty often and would also give out coupons for specific dates. For Boxing Day, they had a 30% off sale and we'd also given out coupons that would start the next day. Lady comes in on Boxing Day and we worked out that she'd get more of a deal if she used the coupon instead. So I offered to hold her items for her. I explicitly told her that she wouldn't be able to get the 30% off and she decided to use the coupon instead. She comes back the next day, goes to cash to purchase her items and gets angry because they wouldn't give her both the 30% off and let her use the coupon. She told the cashier that the person she'd spoken to the day before had told her she could do that. Sees me and says it was that girl who told me. I went to cash to speak to her. I was a key holder at the time, and her story changed about 3 times through the whole thing. First she said that I told her she could combine the discounts. Then she said that I never told her she couldn't combine the discounts. And then finally it was, well, I don't understand why I am not able to do this. Another manager came over to help sort it out and as I walked away I heard her saying that I was a liar. Now, I work at Sephora and we always get people trying to return fake products. My favorite one was when someone returned a face mask but had put a can of tuna in the box instead of the actual face mask. I used to work at Sephora and the amount of people that would try to return mostly empty gift sets was absurd. The look on their face when you would ask where all the products were was always priceless. I was working in a betting shop during the 2014 Football World Cup. We had this one really awful customer, must have been in his 80s and always wildly inappropriate, asking what color my underwear was, did I need someone to keep me warm tonight etc. But I couldn't do anything as the higher ups wanted to squeeze money from him. Anyway, the night before the final match he comes in and tells me he wants to bet on Germany to win. I spent about 10 minutes explaining to him that as it was the final he could no longer have a broad bet like that. Instead he'd have to choose between a 90-minute win or winning in extra time, on penalties etc. I showed him the odds for all of the different bets and he ended up choosing the 90-minute win. I put the bet through for him and off he went into the night to be creepy somewhere else. The match plays out and of course Germany wins in extra time. The next day a named creepy dude comes in grinning from ear to ear and telling me how he's a winner. Oh boy. Again I have to explain to him that his bet isn't valid as he predicted they'd win before 90 minutes. And they hadn't. Dude flies into a rage about how I'm a money grabbing ass who's jealous of his riches and I have to pay him out or he'll call the police. I tell him to leave my store or I'll call them myself. He complies. A few days later I come back from my lunch break to see him ranting at my cashier. I ask what the problem is and he throws me his bet slip for the World Cup. Only now he's written extra time on it in pen and is trying to get my less experienced staff member to pay him out. I tell him that when we scan bets the computer takes an image of it. Obviously the slip he has given to us has been altered as it doesn't match what's on the screen. I even turned the computer to show him, and that counts as fraud. Again, he leaves spouting nonsense about how women shouldn't be working anyway because they can't count or read. Next week I get told I have to go to a meeting as I've had a complaint filed against me by a customer. The day of the meeting rolls around and I'm greeted by my area manager, security director and creepy dude. He had phoned the customer line and said I'd refused to pay his bet and taken the money for myself. We ended up bringing up the CCTV of the night he originally placed the bet, complete with audio, to prove without a shadow of doubt that he was in the wrong. Dude won't accept this and starts screaming that we're all thieves. We fake the video and threatening to get a lawyer. Security director escorts him off the premises and he is banned from all of our chains indefinitely. The kicker is, if his bet had won it would have been a whopping £55. TLDR. Old dude is creepy, refuses to accept that his bet isn't a winner, makes threats and escalates to head office, is banned from all story. Not sure if it qualifies as a scam or not, probably just attempted shoplifting. When I was working as an electronics cashier, I asked a woman if she needed help buying a TV. She said no thanks, and placed a smart TV into her cart. I asked her if she wanted to make the purchase at electronics, and she said she wanted to pick up a couple more things in electronics. I went to help another customer when I realized the woman was rushing towards the front of the store with the TV. I immediately radioed loss prevention that someone was trying to run out with a TV, and they stopped her at the door. Her immediate defense was I paid for this in electronics. I just left the receipt in my car. I have no idea how that made logical sense in her mind, since of course she couldn't have the receipt in her car if she just bought the TV in electronics. I had a client once who was charged with shoplifting for putting a big flat screen in his buggy and just pushing it out to his car. Loss prevention followed him and found another TV already in his car. I asked him why he had thought he could get away with doing that, and he said, "You just don't know how often I have gotten away with it." I'd like to return this unopened pack of cigarettes I purchased earlier today at your establishment. Might be paraphrasing a little bit. I opened the store every day, hadn't seen this dude once that day. Looked at his cigarettes. It's a brand we don't carry. Asked him for a receipt to confirm he purchased them here, but he obviously didn't have one. That's fine. If you can just tell me what time you were in here today, I can look it up on our cameras to confirm your purchase. My god, the backpedaling and stuttering. I grabbed his cigarette pack and fake examined them. Wait a moment, sir. Are you sure you purchased these at this store? I don't think we carry this brand. He took the cigarettes back, came up with something about his brother must have yada yada, and then he walked out. A tobacco store in town sells some of the brands we carry at a much cheaper price, so people like to try and do returns at our store to make a quick buck. We generally don't take any returns on tobacco, but this guy didn't even scope out his mark. Resident of Indiana. couldn't find anything pertaining to the legality of tobacco returns in my state. If it helps, anytime the ATF drops in for a checkup, the only question we get asked is if we sell individual cigarettes. Outside of that, I've worked a few retail jobs where tobacco was sold and I wasn't told at any of them that tobacco returns were illegal. I'm assuming it's more individual store policy on whether or not they take returns, and I've worked retail long enough to see how an employee would tell someone it's illegal, rather than against store policy, just to help avoid an argument. Not to say it might not be illegal in other states, just that I don't think it is in mine. I had a lady try to return a pack of smokes that she admitted she bought from another gas station. She wanted Newports. They gave her Newport lights. It wasn't a malicious thing though. She just genuinely didn't know you couldn't do that. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.